obvious question is, whose idea was integration?
Oh boy. The same person whose idea was slavery. The enterprise, okay, the culture of slavery was white all through and through. That's white small hats and white Anglo-Saxon. The culture, the economy, even. But the enterprise as a business infrastructure, whose business was this? Who was making the money? Who made the decision that it would even happen? That's the small hats. The business of integration is a circuitous route to the same road of slavery. In other words, the idea of integration is the small hats because it's another form of slavery. Destroy the black economic self sufficiency such that black people are dependent and we can use them as cheap labor. Even that we can create the necessity for crime out of the hunger and the unemployment, and then create prisons as an industry to re-enslave them, to then have corporations that they build the products for while in these incarcerated prisons, which is the only legal form of enslavement in the United States of America. It's just a circuitous route to slavery. Integration is the small hat enterprise.
Mm. So that would mean that people like Brother Martin Luther King um, really wasn't aware of what he was doing. He just talk about some of the hat influences in the civil rights movement, so people can understand how kind of how we got to this point in history.
So, excellent question. And let me say this because I want to say something positive about Dr. Martin Luther King because he did some positive things. He was a courageous man, no question about that. He knew they were going to kill him. He didn't stop fighting. He knew they had some information on him that was very damning. He still didn't stop fighting. So I respect him on that level. He went all the way to the end and gave his life. And at that point, at the end of his life, really trying to go in a proper direction. If you hear him talking about black people supporting each other economically, he started talking about them writing blank checks, how they funded whites getting land and things of that nature from overseas. He talked about them having whites coming from overseas. Those whites happen to be small hats. He didn't say that, but for those of us that know, them land grants and stuff like that was white foreigners. Those were small hats. And he said, well, it's time for them to pay their check to us when he was doing that Poor People's March, and they murdered him. So he did a lot of positive things. Let me say that. But Montgomery bus boycott, that really was black nationalism at its finest, just not called that. Community freedom fighting. It was fantastic. Having said that, I'm not a fan because the bulk of his time he spent, and I'm gonna say something, and it's not I'm not targeting him because I said something positive. I just want to be honest and balanced. When he was younger in college, and this is something that we really got to work on as black men, he had this desire for white women. He was dating one. He wanted to marry her, but she just knew, nah, this is not going to work. She had the sense to know that it wasn't that kind of country and it wasn't going to work. Why do I bring that up? I'm not slandering them. There's a lot of brothers that's into white females. I'm just going to be real. It's so damaging to it's just the damage it does to our women, the damage it does to our families, the damage it does to everything, the loyalty and the respect that we get, the economics of our community. It's just detrimental in its entirety, and it makes us the race traders of our people. But it also does something else. It also does something else that's very problematic. It gives this desire or this design that white is better than black. If where you want to lay your seed is in white soil, the message that you have in your spirit and your mind and that you're going to relay in some way is that white is better than black. So you're not going to want to embrace your people and say, let's go and do something for ourselves. You're not going to do that because you're more inclined to want to do it with the enemy. That's just how you feel. That's who you want to be with. It just is what it is. We don't understand how damaging that is because we don't realize that it comes out in the wash. We may not say, we say, well, no, I'm about my people. It's just I got a thing for white. It doesn't work that way. Now that thing you got for her comes out in what direction you start pushing. And you don't understand the damage you're doing to the psyche of black women of what you're telling them their investment in black men is. Hey, when he gets to a certain level, what is he going to do? He's going to go get one of those. Then why would she invest in us? Like, we don't understand the damage we do. Like, it's bad on both ends. When black women do it, it's the same thing. It's damage. Like, why would a black man be out here to do everything he can do to protect his race and his women and children if the women just gonna go run to the white males? He don't have any. I mean, what is the value in her? I mean, for a man too, the prize for a man is the woman who's loyal to him. So why would he even think about doing anything for the woman? So I'm saying that to say, Dr. Martin Luther King's integrationism and desire to be or ability to be conned. He was a young man. I'll acknowledge that. When they sent Baird Rustin, the homophile, the freakazoid butterfly, you know, they sent this ultra queer, you know. This guy's story, man, that's a whole nother story. It's an ultra queer. Like he got queers going, man, you are queer, you know. But they sent a queer to buddy up with him and then to push him into this integration mode and to disarm him. Remember, when Martin Luther King, Dr. King's home got bombed in the Montgomery Bus boycott, he was in Montgomery. Next thing you know, he had all of the brothers surrounded with shotguns, like, come back over here again. You're not going to go home. And it was Baird Rustin who was saying, you can't go this direction. What does this tell us? It tells us that Martin Luther King wasn't no punk. He wasn't about no, can't we all just get along? We got to love this. That wasn't where he started. They sent a homosexual in to implant that in his mind. Yes, he loved the whites, so it was able to be sold to him. But once you bombed his house, he was like, okay, I need the homies. And he would have naturally gone in the direction more towards, even if it wasn't called black nationalism, it'll look more like that because it would have been black people who were armed to defend their interests. He wasn't opposed to that. It was Baird Rustin and the small hats who went in and re-engineered, Stanley Levinson, one of his main advisors, Baird Rustin, Thatchell, what's the guy's name? Some of the names are running past me right now. I'm getting a little older, y'all. But the hats, these were the ones that were engineering the wrong directional integrationism that Dr. Martin Luther King was singing in the early phases. Once he started getting around Kwame Ture and these other strong men, H. Rap Brown, all that we are the world, holding hands, loving white folk stuff, all that stuff goes out the door. And now he has real men that's like, burn it down. We're going to take what we want. Black power. He began to get influenced like that. And that's when they like, we got to do something about this guy. Because they'd already murdered Brother Malcolm, Brother Omawale. And they were like, this guy, his ability to speak and organize people is superior. If he decides to say, hey, we're going to do black in our own banks, which he did say, we got to support each other. Let's build our own infrastructure. Let's defend ourselves. Been a wrap. He joined with the Black Power movement, been a wrap. It would have been a wrap. They'd have had a major force to deal with, and they wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. So suffice it to answer your question, it's the small hats that engineered the demise, first of all, the misdirection of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and then his ultimate demise. Because when he turned away from their tutelage, they no longer defended and protected him, and they made a way for him to be exterminated.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also follow us on our other social media platforms. On Instagram, we're at dc.radical1. On Twitter, we're at dc_radical_one. And the Cash App is $DC Radical, the numeral 1. Thank you again.